Welcome to our video on decoding the origins of ancient hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs are one of the oldest writing systems in the world, used by ancient Egyptians to record their history, religion, and culture. Today, we'll explore the fascinating history of hieroglyphs, how they were written, and how scholars have decoded their meaning over time. So let's dive in. Hieroglyphs date back to 3200 BCE and were used for over 3,000 years. The word hieroglyph comes from the Greek words hieros, meaning sacred, and glyphene, meaning to carve. Hieroglyphs were typically written on papyrus or stone. The Rosetta Stone, discovered in 1799, helped scholars decipher hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs were used for religious, historical, and administrative texts. Hieroglyphs were written in rows or columns, usually from right to left. Hieroglyphs used over 700 different signs and symbols. Hieroglyphs could be written in a variety of directions, including top to bottom and left to right. The discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922 sparked renewed interest in hieroglyphs in ancient Egypt. Hieroglyphs were initially used only by the ruling elite, but later became more widespread. The ancient Egyptians believed that hieroglyphs had magical properties and could convey the power of the gods. The ancient Egyptians wrote hieroglyphs using a reed pen and ink made from carbon black or red ochre. The ancient Egyptians believed that hieroglyphs could be used to communicate with the dead. Hieroglyphs were often accompanied by images and symbols known as determinatives, which helped to clarify their meaning. The decipherment of hieroglyphs is often credited to French scholar Jean-François Champollion in the 19th century. Champollion used the Rosetta Stone to decipher hieroglyphs by comparing them to the Greek text on the stone. Hieroglyphs were used by many different civilizations throughout the Mediterranean region, including the Greeks and Romans. Hieroglyphs were used in temple rituals and ceremonies, and were believed to have magical and protective properties. The oldest known hieroglyphs are from the Narmer palette, dating to around 3100 BCE. Hieroglyphs could be written in a variety of colors, including black, red, blue, and green. The hieratic script was a simplified form of hieroglyphs used for everyday writing. The ancient Egyptians also used hieroglyphs in their art, including murals, sculptures, and pottery. The use of hieroglyphs declined after the Roman conquest of Egypt in 30 BCE. The Demotic script, another form of Egyptian writing, was used alongside hieroglyphs during the late period, 664–332 BCE. The ancient Egyptians also used hieratic numerals, a system of writing numbers in hieratic script. Hieroglyphs were used in the construction of temples and other buildings, with inscriptions often carved into the stone. The ancient Egyptians believed that hieroglyphs could protect them from harm and used them in amulets and talismans. The decipherment of hieroglyphs led to a greater understanding of ancient Egyptian culture and history. Hieroglyphs were used in religious texts, such as the Book of the Dead, which contained spells and incantations to guide the dead through the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians believed that the god Thoth was the inventor of hieroglyphs. The decipherment of hieroglyphs was a major breakthrough in the study of ancient languages and cultures. Hieroglyphs were used to record historical events, including wars, coronations, and religious festivals. The ancient Egyptians also used hieroglyphs in medicine, with texts containing descriptions of various diseases and their treatments. The decipherment of hieroglyphs helped to confirm the accuracy of ancient Egyptian historical accounts. Hieroglyphs were used in the creation of royal cartouches, which were used to mark the names of pharaohs and other rulers. The ancient Egyptians believed that hieroglyphs could be used to control the forces of nature, including the flood of the Nile. The use of hieroglyphs declined during the Coptic period, 4th to 8th century CE, with the rise of the Coptic script. Hieroglyphs were used in the creation of monumental statues and obelisks, with inscriptions often carved into the stone. The ancient Egyptians believed that hieroglyphs could be used to summon the gods and receive their blessings. The decipherment of hieroglyphs was a major achievement in the field of linguistics. Hieroglyphs were used in the creation of jewelry and other decorative objects, with inscriptions often engraved into metal or stone. The ancient Egyptians believed that hieroglyphs had the power to heal and used them in medical treatments. The decipherment of hieroglyphs paved the way for the translation of other ancient languages, including cuneiform and Linear B. Hieroglyphs were used in the creation of pottery, with inscriptions often painted onto the surface. The ancient Egyptians believed that hieroglyphs could be used to communicate with animals and plants, and to control the elements of nature. The decipherment of hieroglyphs was a collaborative effort involving scholars from many different countries and backgrounds. Hieroglyphs were used in the creation of funerary objects, such as sarcophagi and canopic jars, with inscriptions often providing information about the deceased. The legacy of hieroglyphs can still be seen today in popular culture, with their use in films, video games, and other forms of media. Thank you for watching this video on the origins of ancient hieroglyphs. We hope you found these 50 short facts informative and interesting. By studying hieroglyphs, we can gain a greater understanding of the culture, beliefs, and history of one of the world's greatest civilizations.